Hello everyone, and welcome to another video designed to support my course It's Never Too Late to Learn IT. This is one of the private videos and it's only accessible to those of you that have purchased the course and have the link. In this video we're going to look at using Wordart. If I showed you all the things that you can do with Wordart, you'd be here all day just watching the video. So I always encourage my students to experiment with Wordart, have a play and see what the various things do. In the course, I introduce you to Wordart by asking you to design a poster, which is a fun way of practicing some of the things that you've learnt to do with word processing, a fun way of practicing Wordart and laying out your work. So let's get started and I'll show you a few of the things that you can do with Wordart. As you can see, I've started with a new blank document. Currently, I have the document in portrait format, which I can show you if I just zoom out so you can see the document is in portrait format. But if you're designing a poster and you want an A4 poster, you might actually want to turn the page around so that it's in landscape orientation. And you do that by coming up to the ribbon and selecting the Layout tab. And you'll see that one of the options is orientation. And as you might already have heard me say in a previous video, wherever there's a little downward pointing arrow, if you click or tap on it, there's a drop-down menu of choices. So if I click on that little arrow, you'll see I can change my page from portrait to landscape. So I'll click on landscape and my page will change its orientation. I'm just going to zoom into my page again, and although you can't see this because it's off the screen, at the bottom right hand side of your page when you're in Word, there are controls where you can zoom in or out. There's a plus and a minus sign, and it tells you what percentage of full size your page is at. Mine is currently on 40%, but if I just click a few times on the plus sign, we'll be back. I'll leave it there, which is 80%. So now we're going to insert our first piece of Wordart. There was a clue there in what I said. We want to insert it, so we want to choose the Insert tab, and over here you'll see Wordart. You'll see there's a little downward pointing arrow, which means there's a drop-down list of choices. So I'm going to click, or you can tap on the little downward pointing arrow, and it gives you a selection of Wordart formats. Now, you don't know what any of those do when you first start using Wordart, so you just have to pick one and try it. And that's the key to learning to use Wordart. Don't be afraid of it, just try things, see what they do, see how they work. So I'm going to pick a random one. I'll pick this middle one. Now where it says your text here, it means what it says. At the moment, if you look, you'll see that that text is highlighted. So if I start to type now, that text will automatically delete itself. I'll show you that. So if I just type hello, you'll see that that text deleted itself. Now I'll show you what happens if you actually click in that box. So let's insert our Wordart again. I was going to say make the mistake, but if you click in that box and you want to type something, you'll see if I now type hello that your text here will also appear. So if you click in the box before you start typing, you have to use the backspace and the delete keys to delete whatever's in there. So I'm going to now type in there something like coffee morning, because we're designing a poster. So here we go, coffee morning. Once you've inserted your Wordart, take a look at the options on the ribbon, and this is where the fun starts, because I can't show them all to you. You really do have to practice with these. But let's take a look, for example, at text direction. Well, there's a downward pointing arrow, so there's a drop-down list of choices, and I can change my text from horizontal. Let's rotate it all by 90 degrees. There you go. So let's return that to horizontal. I can change the colour of my Wordart by coming up here to text fill, and again there's a downward pointing arrow, so I can click on that, and you can change this one word at a time. So if you noticed before I started, my typing cursor was in the word coffee, so I can change the word coffee. I could change the word morning. We can have that something different if we fancy. or if you want to change both words, just click and drag your mouse, or drag the handles if you're using a tap screen, across both words so that both words change. I can come here to text outline. It's a bit hard to see because we chose a yellow outline, but we can change the outline to something that's going to be a bit more obvious. Then we'll change it to black, and you'll see the outline of each word has now changed to black. You can have fun here with the text effects, so you can put a shadow, and see there's lots of options to experiment with. You can put, I don't know how many of these are actually showing up on screen. That appears to me to be putting a shadow over the top. This one should put a shadow to the side. So let's choose a top shadow, and then let's come back here to shadow and come down here and look at the shadow options. So we can drag shadow distance, for example. Ooh, you can change the shadow size. So you can have lots of fun with these, and there's no way I could demonstrate them all to you. As I said at the beginning, we'd be here all day if I showed you all the different options. If you want to put a box around your word art, you can do that by coming here to Shape Fill or Shape Outline. So again, there's a downward pointing arrow beside Shape Fill, so I'll click on that and we'll put a green fill in, and that will give you a rather strange green box around it. So I'll just remove that, so I'll come back here and change it back to white. You can put a shape outline, so you could put a black line around the outside if you wanted to. Go back to shape outline, come to weight, you can change the thickness of that line, so let's have a nice thick line. There was lots of other options there you can play with. Oh, that was shape fill, shape outline, lots of other options here you can play with. You can have a dotted line if you want. If at any time the handles, those little circles around your word art, disappear and you can't actually access your word art, don't worry, just come back and click on it or tap on it to select it. To get your word art ribbon back, you might have to double click on this edge. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a little four-headed arrow. If I move away from the dot, if you double click there, watch what happens to my ribbon, you'll get the word art ribbon will come back to you. If you want to increase the size of the text in your word art, you come to the Home tab and you look at the font options. So we can change the font style, so we could change that to something much fancier if we wanted to. And you can change the size here, so you can increase the size. Let's increase that a lot. Now you'll see that that is now too large for the box, so don't worry, point your mouse or tap and hold to this bottom handle here till you get the two-headed diagonal arrow. Press the left mouse button and hold it down, or tap and hold on the screen, and drag that until your word art fits in the box again. If you want to move your word art around the screen, you need to drag and drop it. Now to do that, you need to point your mouse or tap and hold on an area of the box around the word art that isn't one of the handles. So all my students do this. They'll try and get their four-headed arrow as close as possible to one of the handles. Don't do that. Keep away from the handles. Tap and hold or point and get your four-headed arrow as far away from the handles as you can, because the handles do something completely different. As you've seen, they resize your word art. So if you want to move it, you want to point or tap and hold somewhere away from the handles. Get your four-headed arrow if you're using a mouse, press the left mouse button and hold it down, and drag around the screen, and you can see you can move your word art to wherever you want it on the page. When you're happy with its location, just let go. So the best advice I can give you with word art is don't be afraid of it. Play with it, experiment with it, and see what the various functions do. That really is the only way to learn how to use word art effectively. So I'm just very quickly going to add some ordinary text to this poster. This isn't going to look pretty, but it'll just give you an idea of how it works setting out around the word art. So first of all, I'm going to put the date and the location at the top. So I'm going to center my text. So we have here four icons which are left align, center, right align and justify. Justify, if you're typing a whole paragraph, gives you a straight right hand and straight left hand edge. I'm going to center my text. See, my typing cursor has come in the center. We're typing an A4 poster, so let's have it a good solid size there. And I'm going to type Village Hall. I'm going to press the enter key, and underneath I'm going to put the date, 23rd of September. Then I'm going to double click or double tap underneath my Wordart to bring my typing cursor down here, or if you're still up there you can use the enter key a few times till your typing cursor comes underneath your Wordart. And here I'm going to say entry £2. And as I showed you in a previous video, I can change the appearance of text that I've already typed by highlighting it, coming up here. Let's make that larger. Let's right align it, so it's going to go to the right hand edge. Let's have it a different colour. Let's make it red. And let's change the typeface. There you go. So I hope that's given you a basic introduction to Wordart. Have fun, don't be afraid to play with it, and I'll see you in the next video.